Welcome back, everybody, to another short from the Greeks Gridiron. I am Athan Hristodulu, joined alongside today by Nick Cormier. We are going to be giving a draft grade to none other than the Chicago Bears. Welcome back to the show, Nick. How you doing today?
Going on. I got hooked up with the Greeks Gridiron t-shirt. Let's go.
Yo, we got the shirts. I don't know. I'm looking at this backwards, so I don't know which way to show it. But yeah, man, we're talking the Bears. We're giving them a draft grade, and the Bears are one of those teams that I think had a pretty really solid draft. They did a lot of moving up, going through, picking up Justin Fields in the first round, Tevin Jenkins in the second. So they went after their guys, and that's kind of something you want to see from any team that's going into the draft. Is if they have somebody in mind, don't just let them get eaten up by some other team. Get after it and go after it is kind of how you want to do that. So we'll kind of just start things off first with the team needs. And I think you'll agree with me on these ones, Nick. The biggest ones going into the draft are QB, O-line, and wide receiver. They're a little bit thin at wide receiver outside of Allen Robinson. I mean, who's the second guy that they have there? They drafted him in the 5th round not too long ago.
Anthony Miller,
yeah. So he's starting to show up a little bit, but I mean, outside of them two, not a ton in the cupboard for the wide receiver room. Running back is something of a hit or miss. I mean, it depends on who you talk to, but that wasn't something I really put on here for team needs. So we'll just run down the list. We'll kind of break down some of these picks here and what we did and did not like, if anything we didn't like. Starting off with round number 1, Justin Fields, and I think you and I are on the same page, Nick, on this one, and anyone who watches this agrees. The Bears went and got their guy. I think this is the best possible pick they could have had in the first round.
110%. They jumped up and they grabbed a guy who at one point was the consensus number 2, then fell down to the consensus number 3 before somehow sliding into their hands at 11. They jumped up and grabbed their guy. It was the best quarterback in the draft on the board at that point, and in my opinion, the second best quarterback in the draft anyway. And they nailed this one. They stole him from my Patriots, but they nailed this one.
Yeah, no, I remember I sent you guys the text when the Patriots picked up Mac Jones, and the group chat did not seem too happy. Everyone was upset about it. I was like, oh, you guys got Mac Jones. Like, they got their guy. And then you were like, I'm pissed. And then Eli's like, all I'm going to say is they could have had Jones. Or not Jones. They could have had Fields. And I was like, damn, I guess everyone's not as pumped for them as I am.
Sick. I mean, I've changed. We'll talk about that in the Patriots video, but I've changed on Mac Jones.
Good.
Justin Fields was the guy for them, and I can't wait to see what he does in his future.
Mm-hmm. So moving on to round number 2 here, Tevin Jenkins out of Oklahoma State, offensive tackle. I think that this is a guy who's going to end up starting day 1 for them, either on the right or left side at this point. I don't know how much experience he has at the left tackle position. I know he played predominantly right side, but now after the release of Charles Leno Jr., the Bears, they're going to have a little bit of reshuffling to do, but they did go offensive line in the draft, which I think made him a little bit expendable. This guy, 0 sacks the last 2 years. The strength's through the roof. Some people are saying, he's a little bit older, so it makes him look stronger compared to some of the younger 21-year-old guys. I think he's like 23 and a half or so. But I mean, absolute bully from what I've seen.
An absolute bully indeed. This man is an anchor. If he can play at the NFL level, and I mean, he had a first round grade on him. That's why they jumped up to grab him. If he can play at the next level, he is going to be an anchor for years to come. They call him the most violent man in college football for a reason. This man is a house with feet, and he just moves whatever's in his way off to the side effortlessly.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So obviously, Bears, they did a lot of trading up. They had to give up a lot to get themselves in a position to get those 2 guys in those first couple of rounds. They ended up having to wait until day 3 to make their next pick. Going into the 5th round, Larry Borom. I thought this was a really good pick for them. Fairly strong game against Alabama, which if you have a good showing against Alabama in any season, that speaks a lot. That was one of his highest graded games of the season. So the fact that he was able to step up in a big game like that, I think that speaks a lot for his talent. It's another need for the team as far as pick goes. The offensive lineman going into the draft, they weren't missing Charles Leno. I don't know if they planned on getting rid of him if they drafted enough capital at offensive line, and it seemed like maybe they were. And then on top of that, round 6, we have Khalil Herbert, Daz Newsome, Thomas Graham, and then round number 7 to finish things off. We have Kairos Tonga at D tackle. The two bigger pieces, I think, out of those day 3 picks is probably going to be Larry Borum, and I think Daz Newsome's going to be a strong slot guy for them. Very quick, very agile, pretty much what you want from somebody in the slot. He was really dominant in 2019, kind of slowed down a bit the second year, but I think he could be a really strong number 3 receiver for the team. I like his talent. I like his ability to move, so I think that it'll be really good that he's not going to have the pressure to be a 1 or 2 on him. What about you?
I agree with that. Daz Newsome seems like he's going to be the perfect fit for them. I mean, you saw what they got out of a day 3 draft in Anthony Miller. I don't see how they can't get the same out of him. Kairos Tonga, 7th round, played at BYU. He had a couple solid showings in his BYU career. Definitely solid value with one of their last picks, with their actually last pick in the draft. And then Larry Borum as well. Kid's a stud. Blocking for Drew Lock a couple of years back. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He's a solid 5th round guy. And when you jump up to grab 2 first-round draft picks, you kind of do miss that 3rd and 4th round when you're trading. So they got what they got in the 5th, 6th, and 7th, and they got some good stuff.
Yeah, I definitely say that they filled some needs. They added some depth in the later rounds. I'm not a big fan of basically skipping almost all of day 2, aside from having that 2nd round pick. I don't want to say they gave up too much trying to move up for Justin Fields and Tevin Jenkins, because it seems like they really wanted those 2 guys. They're real excited for him, but I don't know, something like that. Like when you're jumping almost 3 rounds before you get to pick again. I don't like that. For me, I'm a very big like build through the draft kind of guy, but also don't like sacrifice your entire draft for a player or 2. But I think overall the Bears had a really strong showing. They're really the only person on this list that I'm curious about is like Khalil Herbert out of Virginia Tech. He had almost 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns this past season, but he's not much of a pass catcher. He had no more than 10 catches in any of his seasons that he was playing. And that's weird because the Bears they usually have like a multifaceted running back. When you think of guys like Forte and Cohen, it's usually somebody that can run the football, but also catch out of the backfield. So I'm kind of curious as to where he'll fit in for the offense. I don't, to be honest, really know much about Thomas Graham out of Oregon. He didn't play last year, so he sat out. I didn't really watch too much on him or really look into him too much out of here because I didn't really think corner was much of a need for them. But overall, for me, I'm going to slap them with an A- on a grade. They got their guy in the 1st round. They got an offensive tackle to hopefully be there for, like you said, the next 10 years or so to, protect Justin Fields and keep him upright. So hopefully he has a long career there alongside Justin Fields. I think they got some good depth. They really attacked the needs that they had on their roster. And I think overall, very strong showing for Chicago.
Absolutely. You gave them an A-. I'm going to go as far as to give them an A. They would have gotten the A+ if they had a 3rd and 4th round pick, but they did what they had to do. They addressed every single one of their needs and they swung for the fences. And if you hit that home run in this draft, you're talking about a franchise changing draft. This is the draft that we could look back on and see, hey, Justin Fields and Tevin Jenkins led these guys to a Super Bowl. That's a possibility with these guys. Do I think it's going to happen? Maybe not. But if they hit the home run on this draft by getting these 2 anchors, they're not too far away.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, this draft has a potential to be franchise changing for them. The Bears have always struggled to find a real quarterback for the team. I mean, their best quarterback is Jay Cutler in Bears history, which is wild to say out loud. I actually said that to somebody else the other day, and they were, what did he say to me? He was like, how long did Jim McMahon play for them? And I was like, dude, he has like 12,000 more yards than Jim McMahon did and almost 50 more touchdowns or something. It's not even close, which is wild. I did not know Jay Cutler was their best quarterback until I actually looked into it a little bit after they drafted Justin Fields because that got brought up to me. But solid job from the Bears. A- for me. Nick hits him with an A. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember, like, comment, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. We'll be bringing more draft grades to you guys as the weeks go on and we go through this really dry point in the off season. So we'll catch you guys later. Thank you all for watching and have a good rest of your day.